I mean, let's just get started. If
Let's
other
go,
people
bro.
jump on, they jump on. If not, they can watch the replay. I want to be um, conscious of everybody's time except for Matt's. Everybody else I care about. So
Appreciate that.
yeah, I mean Matt's just gonna sit in that chair and do nothing anyway.
I'm
So
not. I'm gonna make you do all
uh,
the talking.
so thank you guys for coming on. With these webinars, all I'm usually trying to do is just find ways to give more information to people um, and add value in, my main focus moving forward is the real estate investment space, whether that's helping people wholesale or fix and flip or be part of a hard money loan, be a lender, be an investor, whatever that looks like. I think there are a lot of opportunities on both the active and passive side of real estate investing, and I just don't think enough people know about it, or they think they know about it, or somebody has told them a bunch of wrong things, and so it scares them away from doing it. But like, it's crazy to me when I look at how many people I know got into crypto with no backing and they're cool with that. But when you talk about real estate investing, you're like, well, what if the market crashes? I'm like, well, you still own something. I got into crypto a long time ago, mainly because it was legalized gambling as far as I was concerned. As I could put some money into something and hopefully it went up and I could watch it go up and you know what I mean? And I could move it around and I could trade it and I could do all these things, but it was backed by absolutely nothing. Hey, we could wake up tomorrow. We could still wake up tomorrow and it could all be gone. Right. And there's no regulatory that says, oh, so and so is going to pay you because there's no so and so. And so for me, if I know there's that many people that are willing to get into that at such a high risk, like this is just such much of a lower risk. I just don't think enough people have the education on what that looks like. So Matt and I have been buddies for, I don't know, 5, 6 years now. And
Too long.
I've watched him do all the right things, and I watched him unfortunately get caught in the middle of stuff. And I don't think he did anything wrong.
Oh, I
Actually,
did.
when it all
I did.
happened, when it all happened, he did it all right. Um, Made his people whole, sat on the shit, probably paid way more than what most people would do. And so I thought he was a great guy to bring on and be like, hey, these are all the things that I know I did right. These are all the things that I could have done better. Because, like I said, I don't think he did anything wrong. He could have just now look back and go, maybe I could have saw that or that was a red flag. And so he knows way more than I do in real estate investing, whether that's active or passive, in all aspects of it. And so, yeah, kind of give us a little bit of background of who you are. You could probably share some stories of like what I alluded to, and then maybe get
Yeah.
into some nuts and bolts.
Well, who are we talking? Like, what are you guys all investors, agents, money guys, or is it kind of just a combination of everybody? So since the group's so small,
Agent brokers.
agent broker. Okay.
Mark's a money
Uh,
guy.
Mark's a money guy.
Cameron's an investor.
Okay. Yeah.
So we got everybody.
Um, so like I got into real estate 2017. I did some stuff back in like 08, 09, lost some money back then when I was in my early 20s. I did like 4 or 5 properties. But 2017, when I went full time as a real estate agent, I found very quickly that I wanted to be in the investment space, just because the turns were different, right? So I come from the car business, managed 4 dealerships, over 60 employees, and I wanted faster turns. Like a typical real estate transaction, by the time you got client acquisition all the way through, you're 45, 60 days. So what I did is that, in the investment game, when you're playing in the wholesale space, your turns can be as fast as 10 to 15 days, right? And that was really, really lucrative for me. I really liked that space. So I started getting into that pretty heavy. And then as I started to wholesale more, I realized that, hey, we got to keep the cream of the crop here. When I say keep the cream of the crop, I had an opportunity to, raise some capital, flip some money. So I started flip some houses. So started first year, we only did about 10. Second year, we got to about 24 to 30. Third year in, I think our best year was about 50 flips. We've done a total of 158 flips in pretty much the last 5 years. So investment deals. So not your biggest shot, but enough to know what we did right and what we did wrong. Back in 2019, I ended up raising about $1 million from a buddy of mine, and he's my partner to this day. And that was my first capital raise. And then in 2020, I wanted to scale. So what we were doing was we were buying houses 100% cash, right? So we would go in, buy the house cash, rehab it. We weren't using any hard money. It was like the safest way to do it, but we could only do one or two because all I had is about $1 million, $1.5 million to play with. and it was super lucrative. I was paying my investor 30% of the profit. Things were just, we were making anywhere between $60,000 to $75,000 a house, and it was a cool little pop stand. But it wasn't going to produce the millions of dollars that I wanted it to produce on an annual basis, only having about $1.5 million. So I started raising capital, ended up raising about $8.5 million. That $8.5 million turned into, at the height, about 27 flips at one time. The market dipped in 2022. I had 21 projects, had the wrong GCs on them. And then shit, started to go sideways, man. Ended up holding properties for 15 to 18 months. Hard money cost was killing me. When the market blipped, I saw the writing on the wall, saw that we're going to start taking a loss. Up until this point, it was like clockwork. When we were doing 4 or 5 at a time, we were making $50,000 to $70,000 a house, and it was just a freaking system. Closing 30 that year, did $2.5 million in net profit on the investment side between wholesale and fix and flip. And the thing was just a beast, and it was freaking awesome. When I decided to scale and go to the height of the market and get 25 27 projects going, I ended up getting stuck with 21 projects when the market blipped. Took me about a year to get out of all 21. Went through 4 contractors. Hard money ate me alive. But I started calling all my investors. We ended up losing about $500,000 that year. Well, in about 18 months, we lost about $500,000. So I got in front of it, was able to call my investors, told them, hey man, I think we're going to start losing some money. And I ended up making the call to the very first guy that I ever borrowed money from. His name was Kyle. I ended up calling Kyle. Kyle said, how much are you going to lose? And I said anywhere between 400,000 and 600,000. And at this time, I probably have 6 or 7 people's money that I raised. He goes, I'll take 100% of the loss. He goes, I'll incur 100% of the loss, pay everybody out, get them out, and then me and you will figure out how you pay me back. So that's what he did. He took the loss from me and ended up being about $525,000. And then for the next 2 years after that, so from 2022, 2023, 2024, we continued to wholesale, continued to flip. I took zero profit until he was paid back. We split the delta, so it was about 525,000 between 3 people. One business partner had 130,000. He had about 125,000 worth of debt. The company incurred the rest, and we paid him back over 2 years' time. And that was just to make sure that he was whole. So that's kind of the story on how I got into it. I've learned a lot from it. I don't know if we want to get into tactical, how I analyze properties, how we look at properties, how we find properties. Willing to go over all of it, but that's kind of the story on how I got into it. Currently, I bought 3 houses this week. We currently have 4 projects going. I'll never go to 21 flips again a month. I just don't have the capacity. It's not what I want to do. I'll stay between 4 and 7 at any given time. I feel like we're really, really good at that space, and it's enough for me to manage mentally.
So do you believe that with the smaller amount, you have a higher profit margin? Or do you think you could analyze them better when there was less of them to analyze?
So what are the mistakes, right? So the mistakes on a flip is you analyze the property too fast and you don't see the pitfalls, right? So, over ARV, under rehab, and then under time frame, right? That's a perfect storm is where you buy the house too fucking much, right? You pay too much for it. You were wrong on your ARV. It took longer than you thought, and rehab was more than you thought. That's a perfect remedy to lose money on a property, right? So we were analyzing deals too fast, right? We thought we were pushing ARV because the market was making us right rather than being conservative. And then the rehab number, we weren't using hard bids. We were just kind of saying, okay, it would be X amount. We would kind of estimate, and our estimates were off, right? So what we did is we just dialed all that in. We said, okay, we're going to overestimate our time. We're going to overestimate our budget. We're going to underestimate our ARV, and it just typically makes you right. When you're super conservative on everything, and then you underestimate what you're actually going to sell it for, it typically works out. I would say the number one, if there was one thing that my big takeaway, before we used to look at deals, how to make them deals. Now I look at deals on how to disqualify them. My only job is to figure out how it's not a deal. If it's not a deal, then if I can't figure out how it's not a deal, then it's probably a deal. So everybody hates me when we analyze properties. They're like, what about this? What about this? What about this? And it's just hard nosed for me anymore. I say no extremely fast. So when I say yes, it's clean as fuck and we're going to make money.
My longest time investor told me that. He said the best deal I ever did was the one I didn't.
Yeah. I say all the time, I've lost enough money. I don't need to practice anymore. I've lost enough money. I don't need to practice. I don't need an at bat. I don't want a skinny deal. Like there's a lot of people that like that $20,000 to $30,000 rip and they're doing 5 to 6 a month, right? It's a great business. That's just not the business I am. I have buddies in this market. They want 25 a month. Like they're trying to buy 25 a month. At any given time, they have 75 homes, right? 25 selling, 25 in acquisition, and then 25 in construction. And that's what they like. They don't hit it every month. But they're okay with smaller margins. They're okay with losses. They're okay with wins, right? Because it's just a giant business to them at that point. That's just not what I enjoy. I don't enjoy that enough. So for me, it's just keep it small, keep it profitable. I have hard and fast rules. I won't flip anything I can't make 50 on. If I'm 700 or less, I want to make 50 to 60 grand.
Okay, I'll say, is there a percentage like 20 grand, making 20 grand on something that only costs you 150, right?
Yeah.
A little different than 20 grand on something that you have to hold at 500.
No, I'll give you here's my rules. If I can wholesale it for 50% of what I'll flip it for, I wholesale it. So let's say I have a house that I can make 25,000 on. I'm probably going to be able to assign that between 7 and 10,000. I'm taking the clean 7 or 10 and I'm not chasing another 10. Right now, if I have a house that I can make 80 on or 50 on and I can assign it for 15, I'll go make the 50 in the flip. It's worth the risk to me. But if my margins are between 25 and 30, like it's got to be a no-brainer, or it's got to be a house that I'm okay owning at the end of it. But like on a property that size, like even if like I want to make a minimum of 12%. So at a 10 to 12% margin, like you're going to make, 40 to 60,000 bucks per asset, right? But you're right. If I came across a condo that I have a manufactured home that we're chasing right now. This is a perfect example. I'm ARV's 275. Right? I have 100. I gave him an offer at 150. I'm only going to make 35 grand, but on 150, my holding costs are nothing. My rehab is nothing. To go make 30 grand at a 275 exit ARV exit price, that manufactured home sells all day long because there's nothing you can buy on owned land under 300,000 besides a manufactured home. So I'll take that at bat. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then right now I staying away from 750 to $1 million. It's like the hardest price point for people to get qualified for. It's the hardest price point to sell. All my listings at, 750 to $1 million, depending on what area they're the ones that are sitting the longest. So I'm either looking for an ARV 1.2 to 2 million, or I'm looking for 750 or less.
And it's a higher holding cost.
Yeah. Higher holding costs. Yeah. Your burn rate's higher, but they just don't move as fast. Right. And then I'm budgeting 6 to 8 months on all my holding costs. So I'm looking at a project. I typically won't do a project right now if I can't be out in rehab in 60 days. I want to be listed within 60 to 90 days. So I want to be on the market, staged on the market. If the project's going to take 90 to 120 days, I'm really trying to figure out if that's a project I want to do.
So
we need faster turn. No, and some people are different than me. They'll take the longer stuff, but I want the quicker turns right now just to turn my money faster.
So do you have your own crew at this point? Like,
no, I GC.
I did.
Right? So. I did. Yeah. No, I have a GC that I love that I've just, he's one of those GCs that stays at the project, that babies it. He turns one of the greatest projects ever. Like he just gives me a really good house. I have 2 people use kind of exclusively right now. I've always daydreamed about having the crew in house, just not the right time. I don't need it yet. I'm willing to pay him. He charges me between 5 and 15 grand a house, depending on. Super fair. He's not one of those GCs that are marking up fucking 30-40%. There's a lot of guys out there like that. So, it's super fair to me to have someone that loves it. And then the other thing is management, right? When I lost a bunch of money, I trusted my GC too much. I walk every job every week. So I'm at every job every week. I don't walk it every day, but I walk the job once a week, every week. And before we hit draws, I confirm all the work that he's asking for is done. And I didn't do that before. So mismanagement was my fault. I own 100% of the issues that we had. I mismanaged it. I moved too fast. I thought we had more money than we did. And I took it in the fucking gut.
I got a quick question.
Yeah, Mark.
Matt, how far out of your area do you go?
Yeah.
How far?
Yeah. I'll do every major city in Arizona. So let me back that up. Arizona's a big ass fucking state.
Kinda.
So yeah. So like Tucson, any city in the major metropolitan area that I'm attached to. Like I just locked one up in Surprise. I got one I'm chasing in Casa Grande. I stay out of Maricopa, but I want to be. I'll flip it in Arizona if it's in a desirable city that my exit won't take forever. Like Maricopa, shit sitting. Casa Grande, I got to buy it right because shit's sitting. So like depending on the area, I will. I want the major cities that I know stuff's going to still turn within 60 to 90 days. I will wholesale in every state. So I wholesale in probably 4 different states. So I'll still lock stuff up in like different cities, and then typically I can find a buyer for it.
Now, do you lock those up in other areas because you know the market, or you've got other partners there, or a combination of both? Partners.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So there's certain things you can do to move properties, right? Like you can search cash buyers in the area that bought in the last 12 months that have bought more than one property. Those are the guys I'm calling, right? Okay. So like if I locked a property at Mark in Lake Havasu, Lake Havasu is not fair because I know people there, but if I was to lock it up in, other places, I'll pull that list, and then I'm cold calling those investors trying to sell the deal. So I'll do that. And my average assignment is $27,000. So it's not like it's a small crack, right? So I will, I want to make somewhere between 15 and 25,000 on an assignment. So I still typically try to buy right.
Okay.
Did I answer your question?
You did. The reason I'm on is I've got a couple of my investors are looking to try to get into flipping too. And I know when you and I've met the last few times over this last year, I know you actually have a team. You actually don't do stupid shit. You've already passed that phase. So it's just a matter of how do you, I've got one guy who wants I only want Orange County only, and I'm thinking, well, there's LA County out here in North California, there's San Diego, there's all kinds of shit. So okay.
Yeah. Investors are interesting. We're an interesting breed, right? And I think like some people are just so picky about what they want and how they're going to do it, and they just wait for the deal. The guys that are trying to make a business about it, they're the ones that are going to be a little more fluid. Like I find the one-off investors are a little more picky. Like they want to do 3 a year or 4 a year, 1 a quarter. Like I hear that a lot. I want to do 1 a quarter. It's a great little business, but that's just hard to find the perfect deal 1 a quarter. Like these deals aren't perfect. They're just decent deals. So you kind of got to be able to move where the deal's at. I love Glendale. I love Phoenix. And they're far from us. And my GC fucking hates it because I make him drive where he drives. Like he wishes everything was East Valley. Sure. I wish I could buy in the East Valley, but everybody buys in the East Valley. So I got to buy in Glendale because not everybody buys in Glendale. Right. So you got to go where the deal's out a little bit if you're trying to do more than 4 a year.
Okay.
So you mentioned you find the investors by searching for cash buyers. Do you use a system that searches for that? Do you just go on to like kind
tax records, and then I pull a list, and then I download a list out of the tax records, and then I'll put it in like a needs to skip. I'll pull it in batch leads. You could put it in any skip tracing software. If you can find one, if it's an LLC, it's a little harder, but you could use that system to pull that. If you use batch leads, they'll actually help you get the numbers if you buy one of their subscriptions. But typically, if they're a decent investor, they want to be found. So you're going to end up finding a number on Google, But the skip trace software is amazing, man. Like if you use like a batch leads is one, PropStream is another one. PropStream you can get really good data from. So I wouldn't be scared to use that system either.
What system do you use, or how do you go about, like you said, you're searching for properties, you find a property, if you can wholesale it and make easy money, you're out. If it's better to flip it, you flip it. So where do you even find the property to begin with, to start calling on those people? Yeah,
great question. So we call it, deal acquisition, A to B, right? So there's the A to B leg, which is, it's really just A to B, and then B to C, right? So A to B is your acquisition of the property. B to C is disposition of the property. So our A to B leg is hopefully direct to seller. So how do we get direct to seller? So probates, pre-foreclosures, pull data, neighborhood searches. That's how we're going to get direct to seller. We used to spend about $300,000 a year in PPC, and that started to get us about 1x return. So I pulled the trigger on that. We don't do that anymore. But I would say 65% of our deals right now are agent referrals. So I have 3 dudes on the phone every day They have to get 20 to 30 connects a day to different agents in the Valley. And we're literally just letting them know we're an investor in the Valley and that we want to pick up deals. I've locked up 3 deals this week. Every one of them was a agent referral. So I tell everybody start with agent referral, right? You can't be a fuck though. Like I'm cussing way too much on this. You can't be a jack, right? Like you got to do what you say you're going to do. And that's where we're a little bit different. I tell them how we operate. I tell them the way we analyze. I tell them that there's a potential I could have signed the contract. I tell them if I'm looking at flipping it. I disclose everything and I just try to be honest about everything I'm doing. And it just tends to work out better, right? So agent referral is a big one, but also we do buy a lead source called ZBuyer. If you guys haven't used ZBuyer, their buyer leads are trash. I don't know if I would subscribe to that, but if you go buy their listing leads, we've had some good success on the listing side with their leads to turn into some cash offers. So that's a good lead source to look at. Lead Zolo, we've done pay per lead, where you pay, not pay per lead, pay per lead. Like every lead that comes in, you're paying $200 or $300 for. A couple of those have been really good for us, but nothing has been as good as agent referral.
So do you know, like when I see teams, real estate teams, say, hey, we now offer cash, cash buyer.
Yeah.
Are they doing that through a system? Like, obviously I know the team doesn't have just, $10 million sitting around where they're buying, cash deals, and I don't think they just have investors sitting around, because you could get 10 deals in one day. And then what are you going to do? So when they say that they offer these cash, we'll come in and give you cash for keys, are they going through a system that you could actually go and buy that lead when they say, hey, they raise their hand and say, hey, I got a guy over here that's looking for a cash deal?
Yeah. So I think that, are you asking if there's a third party site that people go collect offers from? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Like if your team, let's say Access, like, yeah, we offer cash. Like, let's say you didn't have investors or anything. We now offer cash deals. Like, I would believe that there has to be someone that is behind that.
Yeah, I think what it is you got a bunch of investors. You got like Mike Lima, he's like cashoffers.com. You got Doug Hop, like all these guys are networked. They're networked with some of the biggest buyers in the industry. So they just go and collect those offers from them, right? Which is a great resource, right? And that's what we try to do. We just want to be one of those offers. That's what it is, right? Is they're just connected enough. Now I would tell you that like Open Door has been a great source for us. Like if I'm a real estate agent and I want to offer cash offers, Open Door, OfferPad, and I'm just trying to collect a commission and not necessarily trying to be an investor. They've been great for us, man. Because you'll charge your client 3.5%, and then you'll charge Open Door 1%. You're making 4.5% on a commission basis, and they're still paying decent price, right? So that's kind of the game, right? Okay. If I'm an agent that's just trying to collect offers and make a commission, if I'm an investor, like I really want to be as close to director as seller as possible. Like I don't typically buy from wholesalers. I get 9,000 houses sent to me a day from different wholesalers, and they all send me the same house. I don't do business with a bunch of them. I have a few that I like that give me, like first crack. But other than that, I want to be direct to seller. All the money's made in direct to seller. Even flipping, like you want to get to the source of the deal. But if you're not willing to do the work, that's why you got to use someone else. That's why you got to use a wholesaler, or you got to use someone else that's going out and doing the work. Because deal acquisition is one of the hardest legs, right? Because you got to do so much time to be able to buy a house at 60 to 65 to 70% of ARV. That's not an easy task to do. It takes time, energy, and effort.
And so when you assign, and you're assigning that to an investor, do you find that most of those people are fix and flippers?
Yeah.
And so they're just willing to take a less of a margin. And so
yeah. There's a couple of guys that will daisy chain. I don't know where they reassign it. But if they're reassigning my deal, I make sure their end buyer is legit. Like there's levels to it, right? You want to make sure you don't want it to get reassigned 25 times. Because then it always comes back to you. Someone doesn't perform, you're the one holding the stick. And the last thing you want to do is have to crush a seller's dream the day before closing saying, hey, I can't perform anymore.
And are you, I think you said earlier, but you disclose everything to the seller?
Yeah, because I'm licensed to just keep everything above board, man. Arizona Department of Real Estate Commissioner would love to take some investors' heads off.
Yeah, because I find I deal with both on the lending side, on escrow side. It's like, hey, we'll do it, but everybody has to know what's going on.
Yeah. The Arizona commissioners fucking attacked some of these multi-dimensional teams, some of the bigger ones that are doing more volume than us. Like there's some teams out there doing 15, 20 assignments a month, plus doing retail real estate. Like I've seen the commissioner just freaking go after them, like try to crush them. So, you got to do it above board. If you're a licensed agent, you have to do it above board. You also got to flip above board. Like, use quality contractors, do it right, man. Use quality contractors, give a good product, be proud of your product. If you got to spend a little more money to make sure the house is right, it's just going to give you less of a headache, right? So, we estimate pretty high on our rehab costs because I want to give her a good product. Like, I just did a flip out in Phoenix. Everybody told me I should have done it for 70. I was into it 85. I spent an extra 15 grand because I found shit after I opened up walls. I found stuff that I didn't like. I could have covered it all up and nobody would have known besides me, but I wanted to do it right. So I choose that ethics over dollars every day. So I want to make sure I give a good product.
Do you bake in a contingency or do you just
10%?
Okay.
So on a $75,000 rehab, I'm going to bake in 10 grand, $7,500.
Yeah, I found the most people that if I had to give a fix and flip loan to, that's usually what bites them in the ass is the fact that you start uncovering stuff and there's more stuff.
And hard money lending is getting a little different now. And I don't know what Greg's offering, and I don't want to bash Greg's stuff. So like, there's stuff that you can get. Greg's stuff is amazing. If you're using them, use them. But like, I can get rehab finance right now. I can get into stuff to 10 to 15% down with my rehab cost finance. I'm only out of pocket down payment. So it's starting to loosen up a little bit. Back in 22, everybody started jacking rates up, not giving you rehab because they didn't know what the market was doing. So we're finding that they are getting a little more lenient with what they're willing to allow. So like the flip in Phoenix, I had rehab covered. I was at 11%, half a point origination on the front end. So like, for this whole deal, I'm out of pocket $45,000, 10% of my acquisition costs. So my whole deal, $45,000. I'm going to return on this particular property $65,000. So cash on cash return. If I look at my $45,000 investment, make 65, I'm making 120% of what I'm supposed to make.
Yeah, we've just emulated Phoenix, so we're higher in fees and interest usually because we're so small. But it's the same, 10% down. We'll do up to 100% of the renovation as long as I'm at a 75% ARV.
Yeah,
and then whatever I'm above the 75, you just have to bring in. So
and I'm acquiring properties between. I'm pretty consistent at 60 to 65% ARV right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we're buying pretty deep. Which is nice. Because the deeper you buy it, the better off you are.
Well, yeah, right. There's just much more wiggle room. Plus,
I know
everything goes the way you want. You make more money.
Yeah, I know you guys are all sophisticated. You understand that, but I like to say it over and over and over so people really get it. All your money's made in the buy. Every piece of it. Every bit of it.
I agree. I think you said deal acquisition is probably the hardest.
Yeah.
How big is your team that goes after that and does deal acquisition?
Three people. And then myself. Yeah. Myself and then three. I'm more social media based, or just like when I get the opportunities to go speak and do stuff, I tend to get deals from that. But I have 3 guys every day banging the phones for 3 to 4 hours a day, building relationships. Yep.
And then are those agents? Are they real estate agents?
Yeah. Well, 2 of them are, one of them's not. You don't have to be licensed, right? So 2 of them are, one of them's not.
And so if they are, do they get anything like if somebody had a team and they had someone call in and they found deals, do you give them the listing too, or is it just a team listing? What does that look like?
No, so it just depends on what I do with it, right? So if I flip it, if I flip it and it's $50,000 less, they make $5,000. If it's 50 to 75,000, they make 10 grand. 75 to 90, they make 15 grand. No, 75 to 100, they make 15 grand. Anything over $100,000 spread, I give them $20,000. They can either choose to take the money off a projected income, or they can stay in the deal and I'll pay them after it's done. If I wholesale it, I take a 15% disposition fee off the top. So let's say I sign it for 20 grand, 15% off the top, then I split it with them 50-50. So like the 3 deals I have out, my commission to my team will be somewhere between $30,000 and $40,000, and the company will make somewhere between $30,000 and $40,000.
So definitely more lucrative than just listing a house and selling it.
It's a no-brainer. That's why I've been preaching this shit from forever, man. I've been saying, if you're an agent, you've got to be multidimensional. You got to look at every aspect of it, right? I mean, Open Door and OfferPad have sold people. People will reduce price for convenience. And if you can offer that convenience and then do something with the property yourself, it makes a lot of sense. And as long as you're disclosing it, showing all their options, where you get in trouble is if you're not willing to show them what they could sell it on the market for. But if you show them what it could sell in the market for and what a cash offer would look like, and they choose the cash offer, You still did your fiduciary. You still gave them all their options, showed them what they could do. Agents get confused that your fiduciary is to get them the most amount of money. That's not accurate. Our job as agents is to help them facilitate what they want, right? So if they want to move in 2 weeks, you're not getting the most amount of money. You either get price or you get terms. You want to move in 2 weeks, you got to give up price. I can make that happen, but you have to give up price. Now, you want all the money? Cool. Then you got to be able to spend the time, right? So we just got really good at every kitchen table appointment. We just foursquare them, give them their options, and then they get to choose what options they want, right? And 99% of them choose retail. They're going to go list on the market with an agent, but that 1 or 2% or 5% choose cash offer or institutional buyer, and then you have an opportunity to generate more income.
Yeah, loans are the same way. Like we have anti-steering. It's really big after the credit crisis, but I just say, look, if you want to wait 45 days and get 7.5% with no points, or we can go 25 days on bank statements with 2 points and 9%, or I can go hard money in 10 days, 3 points and 12%. It's your choice, whatever is most convenient for you. Because I'm really literally going to make probably the same amount of money no matter what deal they do.
Mm-hmm.
Speed for them or getting out of something or into something, it costs more.
Yeah. Man, have you guys ever overpaid for something because you wanted it now? I know I fucking have. Like, this is no different, right? If I want to get rid of something, if something's sitting in my garage and I don't want it in my garage anymore, I throw it on Facebook Marketplace for what it's worth and selling it at a deal. I sell it at a deal. It's gone in 24 hours. I sell it for what it's worth. It's gone in 10 days. I want it out of here tomorrow. I'm going to discount it 100, 80%, sell it for 20% what it's worth. It's just, there's no secret sauce to it, man. It's just get really, really good at finding deals, get really, really good at analyzing deals. And when you do that, you just get you get opportunities, and the more opportunities you get, the better off it is. Like, the challenge is if your deal acquisition is super, super low, you try to start like really forcing stuff, right? Like we comp anywhere between 5 and 10 houses a day. So we have 5 or 10 opportunities a day to find a deal. So if you look at, let's say we just average it out at 5, we're looking at 150 to 250 to 300 properties a month. I only want to find 5. So you just I only want to find 5, right? I want to find 5 flips, and then I want to find, 5 assignments. So if I want to find 10 deals out of 300, I don't need a high conversion rate. So you got to get really, really good at just saying no to the stuff that's not legit. So as long as you're really, really good at saying no to stuff, then you'll be good. Because when you say yes, it's going to be such a clean yes. You're going to be right. It's going to be hard to fail.
Yeah.
Unless you don't know what you're doing, unless you're not really good at analyzing deals. And then if you're not, hit me up. I'm happy to help you. We'll walk through a deal. I'll analyze it. No big deal. I can help you guys look at whatever you need.
Yeah. So when you started, did you partner with anybody? I know I've talked to a bunch of guys. Like they said, when I first got in the space, I had this old guy who taught me how to get IRA money, and then he kind of went in the deals with me, and then we would split the deals until I got good at what I was doing. And like, did you do that, or did you just kind of figure it out?
No, I had a guy that I was connected to, a guy named Jed. He kind of taught me the business for sure. I was with him for a couple of years. First year, I was kind of just his errand boy, whatever he needed, I did. So he taught me that. He worked for a company called We Ugly Home Buyers.
Oh yeah.
That's the name of the company, right?
We Buy Ugly Homes.
We Buy Ugly Homes, whatever it is. It's something like that, right? So, I was able to go on a few appointments with him, saw how he did that. And then I hooked up with a guy named Greg Bilbro that was at Fair Property Buyers doing phone calls for him. So within the first 2 years, I kind of just learned it by helping people. I wasn't making dick for money on it, but I was just learning it working for other people. I mean, if I'm being honest. And then once I learned it, then I was able to go duplicate it, right? But a couple of years of learning it, a couple of years of being on appointments for other people. After Fair Property Buyers, I went to HBSB Holdings, a guy named Scott Bauer. He does about 100 units a year. I was his acquisition guy. That worked out for about 90 days, and then he would kind of use me intermittently. He wanted me full time, but I didn't want to give him full time, so he got rid of me, which I understand. But I was going on his appointments, his leads, and just locking stuff up. He was doing a bunch of mail. And then after I worked for him for 90 days, I was like, oh, this is over. I just got to go find my lead source, right? So then I had the reps of doing the appointments, and that's all direct to seller stuff. So once I figured all that, how to have a conversation, because it is a skill set, dude. It's not like a presentation for your listing appointment. It is a skill set getting someone to, letting them see the value in a cash offer. that they think they want a retail cash offer, but when you give them a cash offer and it's 60% of what they thought they were going to get, that's a hard conversation.
Yeah, it's amazing to me that they think that. Like, why would somebody
Yeah.
come in and give you what you could get?
Yeah.
There's got to be something in it for them. And that's when I have a couple agents that will call me and be like, hey, okay, like they might get Andrew the home buyer stuff or Doug Hopkins stuff here in town because there's no one around.
Yeah.
And they're good though. They're like, I already told them, like, if they talk to you, it's not going to be like talking to me. Like you
Yeah.
have to do something with it and go make money too. You're not going to just give them, if I can list it for 200, you're not giving them 200.
I started closing more deals across the kitchen table when I showed them all the numbers. I would literally show them ARV. I would show them my rehab. I would show them my holding costs. I showed them the math, and then I showed them my profit. And they were like, and then I just go, hey guys, just for me, it's a mathematical equation. Here's the math. This is why I got to pay what I got to pay. You know, and if you're not okay with me making 10%, I'm going to make $45,000 on doing this for you guys. If you're not okay with that, I totally understand. I've always gone into every house unattached to the outcome. I don't care how this goes. I want them to choose to do business with me, but I'm unattached. I want to just deliver information in the best way possible, help them solve their problem, and be of value. If I show up as value, solve their problem, typically they'll choose to do business with me in some capacity. So that's how I just started doing all my appointments, just value first. So, and you guys know, like being curious, you know, asking really good questions, finding the problem, you get deep in the problem, understanding how you can actually solve it. Because there's more than just money sometimes. It's how are they going to move? How do you need to stop foreclosure? We've done a cool about 4 or 5 in the last couple of years where we don't even own the house.
I was going to say,
We'll
talk
go
a little
in.
bit about your exotic. I call it
Yeah.
exotic, but like where you go and you help them out and then it's a win-win. Everybody wins. But what are those?
Yeah. So we'll go like, let's say we're chasing pre-foreclosures and let's say they're behind in arrears $30,000. If there's enough equity in the property, we'll catch that $30,000 up. And then we'll put 10 to 15 grand into the house to make it, you know, show ready. And then we'll list the house. Right. So the way we do it is we charge 3.5% or 4% on the listing for the program. And then we charge my investment company lends them the money. We use a deed of trust and a promissory note to lend them the money. And then we actually pay everything. So they don't actually get the money. We actually send it to the bank. We pay their bills. We'll pay their bills while we have it under contract. And then what we do is we charge a 50%. So if I give them 40, I want a $20,000 kicker for my 40. So I'll make 20 grand on the investment of the 40, and then I'll make 3.5 to 4% on the sale of the property. So, like for example, I had one in Glendale. The house needed about 50 grand worth of work. So I returned 75,000. I paid all of her bills. I actually paid her car payment. I gave her gas money. I gave her food money. I was spending about 4 grand a month on holding costs for this particular lady. She was disabled. She had just lost her job. So I literally supported her for 4 months to make this all happen. I remodeled the house. I sold the house. She was in foreclosure. She only owed $60,000 on the house. The bank was going to take it back because she just lost her job. So I was like, that's not happening. So I caught her up, cost me 25,000 to catch her up. I put 50 grand. No, that's not right. It cost me 20 grand to do it. I was all in at like 50,000 and I returned 75,000 on that. And then I sold it for 4%. It was a 675 listing. So I made another 25. So on a $50,000 investment, I made 50 grand back. And I helped her out. Like she ended up walking with like 400 when she wasn't going to walk with anything. They were literally going to take it back in like 30 days. Because everybody calls you late.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're not calling you day 1. They're calling you day 90 when the bank's like, you have 2 weeks to come up with the money.
Your foreclosure date's next week.
Yeah. But you got to protect yourself. So deed of trust, promissory note. If you guys want it, I can share mine with you. I had a lawyer write it. And then, you got to have title run a search on it to make sure there's no liens, make sure there's nothing you don't know about. And I got caught with my pants down on 5 grand. I caught a guy up 5 grand and he ended up having a second for $90,000, which made it a short sale. So I couldn't sell the house. So it's literally still a short sale and I'm not going to get my money back. I'm going to end up losing it. But, you know, so you got to make sure the house is clear. It doesn't have a crazy second or something like that. Make sure they're at least in the 25% equity position or how much money you're borrowing that they at least have enough to pay you back.
Yeah. I find it crazy, being in both spaces, lending and escrow, when people tell me that, oh, I just lent my buddy money. I'm like, okay, well, did you even search did you even search county recording records?
No.
Like, oh no, I'm well, I don't want to pay
Nobody
you for,
thinks
I don't
about
want to
it.
pay you for a title report. I'm like, bro, it's like $400 to
Yeah.
protect your 150,000 that you just gave them.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't, man, I CYA every time, man. I like detail. Anytime I'm doing anything with money anymore, like I used to fly crazy, man, but I just been punched in the mouth. Like you guys are all older, right? I mean, not calling you old, but like you remember when a handshake meant something? That's how I was raised. It's just not like that anymore, and you can't operate in that capacity, especially with people you don't know. So if I don't know them, I mean, even with people I do know, they're still signing contracts. Like I had a buddy of mine that got in foreclosure. He lived in a $2.5 million house, lost his job, couldn't keep up, lived in a $2.5 million house, needed 80 grand. I didn't. He was like, "Can you help me?" I'm like, "Dude, this is the program I have. If you want to do the program, I'm happy to do it." But I didn't give him a break. I didn't not lien his house. I still gave him a promissory note. Still took a deed of trust. And he's like, "You're cracking me." And I'm like, "Bro, I get it, but I have investors, I have people that I answer to. Like this is a program that we created for exactly the situation, and I'm happy to help you through it. And we typically won't do it if we got to put 100 grand up. I think this one we were out 110,000. So I was out 110 grand on this particular property, but he had to return 60 back. So we got 160,000 of his equity on it, right? It was a no-brainer for us, but there's a lot of risk having 110 grand on a house that potentially was about to go to foreclosure. And now you're carrying his payment, right? So a payment on a $2.5 million house ain't cheap. So like we ended up being out of pocket quite a bit on that one, but I didn't give him any breaks. It
No,
is
I mean,
what
there
it
is
is,
there's
dude.
no, like emotion's the worst thing in
No.
in this business.
No,
Like you
and I
can,
still charged them 3.5% on the sales side.
I love you. So then you get mad at me for charging 3.
Hey, bro, your shit's expensive. No, I'm just saying. This kid. uh,
Do you guys
I
have any
love it.
questions before we wrap up?
Hopefully that was useful, dude.
I mean, I took like 3 pages of notes.
Yeah.
So
Happy to partner with anybody. If you guys got a deal that you want to run together, if you guys aren't flipping or you guys want to do a deal together, happy to jump in, do a deal together. We do a lot of joint ventures with, agents or people like just getting started in it. If you guys want to partner on a deal where we both throw up some capital in the deal, or if you guys are looking for a little bit of money on a flip or whatever you guys do, man, we're pretty open to doing stuff with people, good people in the industry. I want to say good people in the industry. So hopefully Greg can vouch for the people on this call.
100%.
Good. So
Well, Matt, I
appreciate you having
appreciate
me.
it. Yeah.
Hell yeah, bro.
All right.
Thanks
We'll
for
talk
having
to you
me,
guys
Doug.
soon. Take
All
care.
right, bye.
Thanks.